Hello, this is Eric Merritt, and in this video we're going to talk about the Content Library tab. The Content Library tab helps you browse and manage the different types of content that can work inside of DAZ Studio. This tab has functionality that goes very deep, and a video that explains all of it would take several hours. In this video we will only explain the surface layer of functionality. There will be subsequent videos that take deep dives into very specific aspects of the Content Library tab. The Content Library tab is split into four different parts. On the top you have search and some navigation features. Just below that you have the container view. In the middle is the file view, and on the very bottom is additional information. Now, the basic use of the Content Library tab is to help you find files that you want to use in your scene. It differs from the My Stuff tab because the My Stuff tab only shows you smart content. In other words, content that has additional information called metadata about content types, compatibility, and product groupings. The Content Library tab allows you to see any content that can be loaded into DAZ Studio, whether metadata exists or not. As you look around in the container view, a history is kept that then allows you to move forward or backward in this history by using these arrow buttons. This button here moves you up one level in your container view. The reason it's called the container view rather than something like the folder view is that it contains both true folders that represent actual physical locations on your hard drive and containers, which are groupings of files that are associated only in the database. And instead of representing their location on your hard drive, they allow you to group files in whatever way works best for you. That being said, you should know that whenever you see a folder icon like these here, it is a folder that can actually be found on your hard drive. And any other icon like these or these simply represents a grouping of files within the database. DAZ Studio has always supported poser formatted content. Poser content has a very specific location where each different type of content needs to be placed. DAZ Studio native content has less restrictive locations. Because different formats have different needs, they are separated. As you might imagine, DAZ Studio formatted files show up here, and poser formatted files show up here. DAZ Studio also has the ability to use formats like BVH motion capture files, OBJ object files, and collada files. These format types can be seen here in the Other Import Formats container. Let's now take a look at the Products and Categories containers. The product containers are useful for seeing all the items that came with a product in one place. Each smart product that is installed will have the appropriate metadata to create a product container. Products will be listed alphabetically and be grouped according to the first letter of the product's name. For instance, I have 3 products that start with the letter A and none that start with the letter C. The Categories container helps you find things by content types. For instance, if I wanted to find a pair of pants, I would look under Wardrobe Pants. If you have content that does not have content type, compatibility, and product information, and you want this content to show up inside the My Stuff tab, you can add the information yourself. I'll have to show you that process in another video, but I would like to show you how to add notes to files, as well as add tags that can be searched. Let's start by opening the Tags page at the bottom of the tab. It has 2 text fields. Let's talk about the Keywords text field first. There are many reasons you may want to add searchable keywords to files. One example is if you wanted to tag a group of files that you're using for a project, so you can search for that tag later and see all of your project assets in one group. I've already tagged a bunch of files with the word tutorial, but let's tag one more. Let's also add a note before we click Apply Changes. Now let's do a search for the keyword tutorial. And there are all my tagged files all together in one group. You'll notice that we get a new container here that has been automatically selected. If we do a search for something else, the search container gets updated. By clicking on this down arrow, you can select any of the searches you've done in your current session. Now, this drop down here allows you to search via the file names or via the database. If I select File and do a search for the keyword red, the only files that are returned are the ones that have the word red in the file name. If I select Database and do the exact same search, I get the files that have the word red in the file name, plus I get any that have been tagged with the keyword red, as you can see right here. Now let's take a look at the tips and info pages. The tips page gives you helpful tips that you can scroll through one at a time by using these arrow buttons. You also have access to video links. The info page shows you basic information about the selected file. If you select more than one file at a time, it shows you the information about the last file selected. Alright, let's close down this additional information section and let's talk about some of the options you have in the file view. These buttons here allow you to move between the pages of files. The plus and minus increase or decrease the number of files displayed per page in increments of 12. You can also switch between icon view and list view with these buttons. You can save a scene or a preset with this plus button, and the minus button deletes the selected files. You can also copy and paste files with these buttons here. Alright, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is this blue highlighting. Any content that is highlighted in blue is considered new, or in other words, something that you haven't clicked on yet. All of these directories are highlighted in blue, other than the one that you've currently selected, which is highlighted in yellow. If you dig down into one of these directories, you'll ultimately find a file or files that are highlighted in blue. If you click on a blue file, DAZ Studio marks the file as seen, and the blue highlight goes away. As soon as there are no more files marked as new in that directory, the directory's blue highlight goes away as well. You can also select multiple files, right-click on them, and mark them as seen. You can also right-click on a folder and select Mark Children as Seen, or even Mark All Content as Seen if you want to. Well, that covers the basics, but there's much more to explore, so we'll see you again in future videos. Goodbye.